Have you ever been in the middle of a story, a wonderful story you've told 100 times, and suddenly, the name you're searching for vanishes? It's right there, on the very tip of your tongue, a ghost of a word, but it just won't come. Or perhaps you've walked into a room, stood in the center of it, and realized you have absolutely no idea why you came in. The intention, so clear just a moment before, has evaporated like mist in the morning sun. These small moments, these little blips in our mental landscape, can be unnerving. We often dismiss them with a nervous laugh, saying, "I'm just having a senior moment." We accept it as an inevitable part of the journey, a tax we must pay on a long and storied life. But what if I were to tell you that this acceptance, this belief that our minds must inevitably decline, is one of the most pervasive and damaging myths of our time? What if the constant forgetting, the mental fog, and the creeping fear of losing our sharpness isn't a foregone conclusion, but a consequence of letting our most powerful muscle go untrained? For decades, we have been told a story about aging and the brain. It's a story of slow, unavoidable decay. A story where the vibrant, colorful library of our memories slowly fades to gray, its pages becoming brittle and hard to turn. We see it in our friends, our family, and we fear it for ourselves. The truth, however, is far more hopeful, far more empowering, and it is backed by decades of incredible scientific discovery. The human brain is not a static organ that simply wears out over time like an old engine. It is a dynamic, living, and constantly changing marvel. It possesses a quality that scientists call neuroplasticity. Think of it like this. Your brain is a vast, interconnected network of pathways, like roads in a sprawling city. Every time you think a thought, learn a new skill, or recall a memory, you are sending traffic down one of these roads. The more you use a particular road, the wider and more established it becomes. But here is the miracle. You can always build new roads. At any age, whether you are 25 or 85, your brain retains the astonishing ability to rewire itself, to form new connections, to learn and adapt. This means that mental decline is not a certainty. It is a possibility, yes, but it is not a destiny. We have been led to believe that we are merely passengers on this journey of aging, watching helplessly as our cognitive abilities fade. But the reality is that we are the drivers. We hold the map, and we control the ignition. The exercises and habits we will explore today are not just simple tricks or puzzles. They are the tools you need to become the architect of your own mind, to build new roads, strengthen old ones, and keep the city of your consciousness bustling with activity, clarity, and light for all the years to come. This isn't about preventing every single slip of memory. It's about building a brain that is so strong, so resilient, and so richly connected that those small slips become insignificant. It's about building what scientists call a cognitive reserve. Imagine your cognitive reserve as a kind of mental savings account. Throughout your life, through education, through curiosity, through challenging work and engaging hobbies, you make deposits. A well-built cognitive reserve means that even if some neural pathways are damaged or slow down due to the natural aging process, your brain has a wealth of alternative routes it can take. It can bypass the roadblock and still get to the destination. A person with a high cognitive reserve can sustain more age-related changes in their brain before they start to show any outward signs of cognitive impairment. You are, in effect, building a mental buffer that protects your sharpness and your independence. And the best news of all is that it is never too late to start making deposits into that account. Your journey to a sharper, faster, and more resilient mind begins today, not with some expensive technology or complicated program, but with simple, profound habits that you can weave into the fabric of your daily life. Before we delve into the specific exercises, it's crucial to understand what we're working against. There are several key factors that can accelerate cognitive decline, acting like rust on the machinery of our minds. The first, and perhaps most pervasive, is chronic stress. When we are stressed, our bodies release a hormone called cortisol. In short bursts, cortisol is helpful. It's part of our fight or flight response. But when we live in a state of constant low-grade stress, worrying about finances, health, or family, our brains are bathed in cortisol. Over time, this hormone can damage and kill cells in the hippocampus, the brain's primary memory center. This is why, when you're stressed, it feels so hard to think clearly or remember things. It's not your imagination. It's a physiological reality. The second enemy is poor sleep. For a long time, we viewed sleep as a passive state of rest. We now know it is one of the most active and important processes for brain health. During deep sleep, your brain initiates a remarkable cleaning process. It's called the glymphatic system, and you can think of it as the brain's overnight sanitation crew. It flushes out metabolic waste and toxins that accumulate during the day, including beta-amyloid plaques, which are famously associated with Alzheimer's disease. When you consistently get poor or insufficient sleep, that cleaning crew can't do its job properly. The toxins build up, impairing communication between brain cells, and leading to that feeling of mental fog and sluggishness. Consistent, quality sleep is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable pillar of cognitive function. Inflammation, a poor diet, and lack of physical activity form another hostile trio. A diet high in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats can create a state of chronic inflammation throughout the body, and that includes the brain. An inflamed brain is an inefficient brain. It struggles to form new memories and retrieve old ones. On the other hand, physical activity is perhaps the closest thing we have to a miracle drug for the brain. When you move your body, even with a gentle walk, you increase blood flow to the brain, delivering a fresh supply of oxygen and nutrients. Exercise also triggers the release of a remarkable molecule called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. You can think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain cells. It helps them grow, connect, and stay resilient. It is a powerful force for building that cognitive reserve we talked about. Finally, there is the silent threat of social isolation and a lack of novelty. The brain thrives on new experiences and meaningful connections. When our days become too routine, too predictable, and we lack rich social interaction, parts of our brain can begin to atrophy from disuse. Socializing is an incredibly complex cognitive workout. It requires us to listen, process information, read nonverbal cues, access our own memories for relevant stories, and formulate responses in real time. It is a full brain exercise disguised as a pleasant conversation. By understanding these adversaries, stress, poor sleep, inflammation, and stagnation, we can better appreciate the power of the proactive habits we are about to explore. These aren't just exercises, they are the antidote. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most fundamental exercise, one that requires no equipment and can be done anywhere, at any time. It is the practice of active, mindful observation. So often, we move through our days on autopilot. We drink our morning coffee without tasting it. We walk through our neighborhood without truly seeing it. Our brain loves this autopilot mode because it conserves energy. But to stay sharp, we need to intentionally jolt ourselves out of it. Here is how you do it. Once a day, for just 5 minutes, commit to observing your environment as if you were seeing it for the very first time. Let's say you're sitting in your favorite chair. Instead of just sitting, begin to actively notice. What is the precise color of the fabric? Is it a solid color, or are there tiny threads of different shades woven into it? Notice the texture. How does it feel against your skin? Now expand your awareness. Listen. Don't just hear the background noise, dissect it. Can you identify the hum of the refrigerator? The distant sound of traffic? The chirp of a specific bird outside your window? Try to isolate each sound. Then turn to your sense of smell. Is there the faint scent of coffee in the air? Or the clean smell of laundry from the other room? This simple act of focused, sensory engagement forces your brain out of its lazy, habitual patterns. It activates different regions of your cortex, strengthens neural connections, and pulls you firmly into the present moment. It is a meditation for the mind, sharpening your focus and attention with each practice. Another powerful daily habit is to transform passive consumption into active engagement. Think about how much information we passively receive each day, whether it's from reading the newspaper, watching the news, or listening to a podcast. Our brains can easily slip into a mode where the information just washes over us. To counter this, we must become active questioners. When you read an article, don't just read the words. At the end of each paragraph, pause and ask yourself, what is the main point here? Can I summarize this in my own words? Do I agree or disagree with this and why? This act of summarizing and analyzing forces your brain to process the information on a much deeper level. It moves the information from your short-term, working memory into your long-term storage, building stronger and more durable memory pathways. You can apply this to anything. If you're watching a documentary, pause it halfway through and try to predict what will happen next. If you're listening to a story from a friend, consciously focus on the details so that you could accurately retell it later. This isn't about turning every pleasant activity into a test. It's about a small shift in mindset, from being a passive receptacle of information to an active participant in its processing. This habit builds critical thinking skills and strengthens the neural networks responsible for memory consolidation. It's a workout you can do dozens of times a day without breaking a sweat. Now let's move on to more structured brain exercises that you can incorporate into your routine. One of the most ancient and powerful is known as the method of loci, or the memory palace. This technique was used by ancient Greek and Roman orators to remember hours-long speeches without notes. It works by tapping into your brain's exceptional ability for spatial memory. Your brain is hardwired to remember places and layouts. The memory palace leverages this natural strength to help you remember abstract information, like a grocery list or a series of names. Here's how to build your first memory palace. Choose a place you know intimately, like your own home. You need to be able to walk through it in your mind's eye with perfect clarity. Now let's say you want to remember a short grocery list: apples, milk, bread, and coffee. Start your mental walk at your front door. The first item is apples. Create a vivid, unusual, and memorable image of apples at your front door. Don't just picture a bowl of apples. Picture something absurd. Imagine your doormat is made of bright red, shiny apples, and they crunch under your feet as you step on them. The more ridiculous the image, the more it will stick in your memory. Next, you walk into your living room. The second item is milk. Picture your sofa, but instead of cushions, it's overflowing with a waterfall of fresh, white milk, splashing onto the floor. Feel the coolness, hear the splashing sound. Move on to the kitchen. The third item is bread. Imagine your kitchen table isn't made of wood, but is a giant, warm, crusty loaf of bread. You can smell the yeast. Finally, you go to your bedroom. The last item is coffee. Picture your bed, but instead of a mattress, it's filled to the brim with dark, aromatic coffee beans. When you need to recall the list, you simply take a mental walk through your house. You'll see the crunching apples at the door, the waterfall of milk on the sofa, the bread table in the kitchen, and the coffee beans on your bed. The list will come back to you effortlessly. You can use this for anything. The more you practice, the more elaborate your palaces can become, and the more information you can store within them. It is a profoundly effective way to train your memory, visualization skills, and focus. Another excellent exercise targets your brain's executive functions, the set of skills that allow you to plan, focus, and manage multiple tasks. This is often called the Stroop test, and you can create a simple version at home. Write down a list of colors. For example, write the word blue, but write it in red ink. Write the word green, but in yellow ink. Write red in purple ink, and so on. Now go through the list as quickly as you can, but instead of reading the word, you must say the color of the ink it is written in. You will find this surprisingly difficult. Your brain's automatic response is to read the word. To say the color of the ink, you have to actively suppress that initial impulse and engage a different part of your brain. This conflict is a fantastic workout for your prefrontal cortex, the command center of your brain. It improves your ability to focus, manage conflicting information, and control impulsive responses. Just a few minutes of this exercise each day can lead to noticeable improvements in your mental flexibility and control. Of course, one of the single most powerful things you can do for your brain is to learn something new and complex. Learning a new skill forces your brain to build entirely new neural pathways. It is the ultimate act of neuroplasticity. The key is to choose something that truly challenges you and requires sustained effort. For instance, learning a new language is a phenomenal brain workout. It involves memorizing new vocabulary, understanding new grammatical structures, and training your ear to new sounds. It engages multiple brain regions at once, from the auditory cortex to the memory centers. Studies have shown that bilingual individuals tend to have a higher cognitive reserve, and may experience the onset of dementia later than their monolingual peers. Similarly, learning to play a musical instrument is a full-body, full-brain workout. It requires you to read music, translate those notes into fine motor movements with your hands, listen to the sounds you are producing, and make real-time adjustments. It is a symphony of sensory input and motor output that builds and strengthens connections across the entire brain. It doesn't matter if you never become a concert pianist. The process of learning, of struggling through a difficult passage and finally mastering it, is where the real magic happens. It floods your brain with growth factors and forges new connections that will serve you for years to come. If music or languages don't appeal to you, consider creative writing or journaling. The act of putting your thoughts and memories into coherent sentences is a powerful cognitive exercise. It forces you to organize your thoughts, access your vocabulary, and structure a narrative. Regularly writing about your daily experiences has also been shown to improve working memory. When you write about an event, you are actively consolidating that memory, making it stronger and easier to retrieve later. It's a way of curating your own mental library, ensuring the stories within it remain clear and accessible. The key to all of these activities is to embrace the struggle. The moments where you feel confused or clumsy are the moments your brain is working hardest and growing the most. Don't seek comfort and ease, seek challenge and growth. Let's not forget the simple, everyday habits that can break your brain out of its routine. Try using your non-dominant hand for simple tasks. If you are right-handed, try brushing your teeth with your left hand. Try combing your hair, or using the television remote with your other hand. This simple switch forces your brain to activate less used neural pathways. It feels awkward at first, but that awkwardness is a sign that your brain is being challenged in a new way. Another easy habit is to alter your daily routes. If you go for a walk every day, take a different street. If you drive to the grocery store, try a new route. When you're on a familiar path, your brain goes on autopilot. A new route forces you to be present, to navigate, and to pay attention to your surroundings, engaging your brain's spatial and problem-solving centers. Even simple mental arithmetic can be a great workout. The next time you're at the store, try to keep a running total of your items in your head. Try to calculate the 15% discount on an item without reaching for your phone. These small challenges keep your brain's calculation centers active and sharp. The underlying principle behind all these small habits is novelty. The brain is stimulated by what is new and different. When your daily life becomes too predictable, your brain has no reason to adapt or grow. By intentionally injecting small doses of novelty into your day, you keep your brain on its toes, ready to learn and form new connections. It is also vital to integrate all of this with the foundational pillars of health. You can do all the brain exercises in the world, but if you are not sleeping well, eating a brain-healthy diet, and moving your body, you are fighting an uphill battle. A brain-healthy diet is one rich in fruits, vegetables,